and welcome to another 5-minute video for the Level 3 Technical Certificate. We're continuing with the functional aids group, and today we're going to be talking about dry strength. So what is dry strength? Ideally, if we want to improve the dry strength of a sheet, we need to have molecules with lots of hydroxyl groups there. And the perfect molecule for lots of hydroxyl groups will be starch. And we've got the amylopectin type of starch, we've got the amylose type of starch, it doesn't really matter. It's the hydroxyl groups that we're really interested in. And why are we interested in hydroxyl groups? Because here, if we take these as two examples of surfaces of fibres, and the fibres are close together, then the hydroxyl groups on the two fibres can see each other, and you'll get hydrogen bonding, you'll get a good strength. But when fibres are far apart, we've still got these hydroxyl groups on the fibres, but now they're too far apart, they can't see each other. So what we need to do is to put a molecule in between that also has hydroxyl groups. Then we get the hydrogen bonding on those hydroxyl groups, and we therefore increase the strength of we increase the total number of bonds, and therefore we increase the strength. So starch is there to bridge the gap. Why do we use starch? Well, it's the nearest looking molecule to cellulose, it's very plentiful, and it's very cheap, it's very renewable. So if we just talk about starch for a moment, starch has no natural affinity for cellulose. That's the only problem. Because it's so like cellulose, there is no natural affinity. But the one thing we know about fibres is fibres are anionic. They carry this negative charge because of all the residual acidic molecules that are there. So how can we improve the retention of starch? Ideally, make the starch cationic. So that's what we do. We take a normal starch, we go through a cationization process. That will then make the starch molecule positive, and it will therefore be attracted to the negative fibres, and we can increase our fibre retention. Less going into the effluent, less going into the environment. So a summary of dry strength. Materials with OH groups will bridge the gap, and therefore they will increase the number of bonds, and therefore they will increase the dry strength of the sheet. The most common material used is starch. There are other things, but they're a lot more expensive, usually man-made. Ultimately probably derived from oil. And cationic starch is good for retention. Rather than putting 100 kilos of a raw starch in and hoping that 10 kilos sticks and the rest goes down to the effluent plant, you put 10 kilos of cationic starch in and it all sticks. So, thank you for listening to this short video, and I hope you will follow us on this social media.